Hello, boys and girls. My name is Larry, and today we will study Brain Bank Science Book number 20. The title of this book is Crickets. This is a cricket. Is it a spider? No. Is it a human? No. This is an insect. Let's look at this insect. The kind of insect is called a cricket. Do you know what these are called? They look like wings. And what color is this cricket? Black. Maybe a little bit of brown on the top. What are these long things? I don't know. We'll have to read the book to find out. Can you count how many legs? 1, 2, 3, 4? Only 4 legs? No. This insect probably has 6 legs. We just can't see them. There's a lot we can learn about crickets. Let's read the story to find out. Oh, wow. Is this cricket flying? No. He has no wings here. What is he doing? He is jumping with these very big legs. Maybe it's like a frog. Well, in this book, we are going to learn lots of information about crickets. We'll learn what they are. We'll learn about little cute baby crickets. We'll see where they live. We'll see what they eat. Do crickets eat children? No. What do you think a cricket eats? I don't know. Ooh, do crickets sing? La 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 la. I can't sing. And then we might go over some important words. We have a lot to learn about crickets. So what are crickets? Crickets are insects. Now we learned in Unit 16 the difference between an insect and a spider. An insect has a different kind of body, and we'll learn about that later in this book. Did you know that insects are the largest animal group on the planet? They have more than 900,000 different kinds of insects. There are probably more than 1 million or 2 million, but we have not found them all. They have long antennae. Antennae are here, 1, 2. And they use this as a sensory organ. They have an exoskeleton. This is their bones. Where are your bones? Your bones are inside. For insects, their bones are outside. We can see them. They hear with an organ on their front legs. So maybe they have an ear here. They can listen through their legs. Wow, that's pretty cool. Can you listen with your legs? I can't. And they breathe through holes along their sides. They have holes here. We can't see them, but this is where they breathe. Maybe it could be like a fish or something. Most crickets have 4 wings. Does this mean all of them do? No, but most of them do. But they almost never fly. What do crickets do? They jump. Can they fly? Yes. Do they fly? No, they usually jump. Now, did you know a cricket can jump up to 20 times its length? Its back legs are very strong. 20 times? Let's think about you jumping 20 times. If you are 1.5 meters tall, 20 times, that means you jump 30 meters. Can you jump 30 meters? Wow, that's really far. Crickets can jump very far, 20 times their length. Let's learn more about this interesting insect. Here we have the body. In Unit 16, we compared 3 very important parts that make up an insect, different than a spider. We have the head, that was 1, the thorax, that was 2, and the abdomen, that was 3. Those 3 special parts are what insects are made of. They also have their legs here. You can see their back legs are very big. And they have their antennae here, 1, 2, their eyes, and you can see they're not smooth back legs. They have little spikes or something on them. I wonder what those are used for. And we can see their wings here. They're folded over. Very interesting. Now we can see their legs. 1, 2, 3. And then they have 3 on the other side. 6 legs. All insects have 6 legs. So let's learn about baby crickets. Let's learn about baby crickets. Baby crickets are called nymphs. This is a difficult word to pronounce. Let's try it together. Nymphs. Nymphs. The PH sound sounds like an F. Nymphs. Now, what do these baby crickets look like? They look very similar to the adult crickets. They look like small adult crickets, almost the same. Maybe it's kind of like babies, human babies. As they get older into children, they just look like tiny adults. Now, crickets molt several times as they grow. This is a difficult word. You don't molt, I don't molt, but insects do. What they do is they grow out of this skeleton and they have a new one. So if you ever see a video of an insect molting, you might see them grow out of this skeleton like a whole new insect. It's really interesting. So then, once they come out of this nice hard shell, the new exoskeleton is soft and pale. It hardens and gets darker as it dries. So it hardens and gets darker. It changes in color. Do you think this is an old exoskeleton or a new exoskeleton? It's an old one because it is darker. It is not pale. Pale is light in color. Look down here and let's find out something about did you know? At first, nymphs do not have wings. Their wings grow later, so they are not born with wings. They grow later. Maybe it's kind of like little babies. Sometimes they're not grown with hair, but the hair grows later. Let's continue reading about crickets. Let's learn about the life cycle of a cricket. As a baby, a very, very tiny cricket, we have the egg. And then it grows into a nymph or a baby cricket, or maybe this is kind of like a child for humans. And then finally, it returns into an adult cricket. Now let's look, how many crickets can you find on this page? Even if it's just part of a cricket, how many do you see? 1, 2, 3, and half of one, 4. More? 5, and maybe 6. That's an egg of a cricket. Now look at this one. What color is this? It's kind of see-through. We can almost see through this cricket. What color is this cricket? Black. So is this a new exoskeleton or an old exoskeleton? This one is the new one. It is pale in color. And is it soft or hard? This is soft and pale. Hard and dark, soft and pale, hard and dark, for all the different exoskeletons. We've learned a lot about crickets in part 1. Let's come back for part 2, and we will learn more about these amazing insects. Welcome back to part 2 of crickets. In part 1, we learned a lot about crickets. We learned about their body a little bit. We learned about baby crickets. They're also called what? Nymphs. We learned about the skeleton of a cricket. Are the skeletons of crickets inside or outside? They are outside. They are called exoskeleton. We also learned that crickets are insects. Are spiders insects? No, they are different. So let's learn more about crickets. For example, where do crickets live? Do they live in a house like you? Maybe an apartment? How about in this picture? Where is this cricket living? It looks like a hole in the ground. Would you like to live here? No. No TV, no internet, no books. And this cricket looks different. Remember, there are many different kinds of insects, and there are also many different kinds of crickets. Let's find out where crickets live. Crickets live in many places, just like people. Some people live in houses or apartments. Some people live on boats. And some people live over the water or on land. In different countries, crickets live all around the world too. Some live under logs and rocks. Do you know what a log is? A log is a piece of wood. Sometimes, if you go walking through the woods, you pick up a log, and crickets will be living underneath. We'll find out why in a minute. Some live in burrows. Do you remember the hole in the ground from the previous picture? That is called a burrow. A burrow is a hole in the ground that is made by an animal, and it's usually an animal's home. Maybe snakes, they can live in burrows, or rabbits, or field mice, or crickets. Others live in cracks in the ground. Cracks are just little, they're not made, they're just made by the ground, maybe made by water, and they get inside, they like it dark in there. Some crickets live in houses. Crickets can build houses? Really? No, they mean crickets can live in your house. Now, yeah, they can live in different parts of your house if you live in the countryside. If you live in the city, it might be difficult to find a cricket, but maybe they're there. Others live in trees. Do you know any other kinds of animals or insects that live in trees? Birds, monkeys, maybe caterpillars or spiders. There's lots of different creatures that live in trees, and so do crickets. They like damp places. Damp. Do you know this word? Damp means it's a little bit wet. So lots of damp places like Antarctica? No. Or the desert? No, those places aren't very damp. Maybe like a rainforest or a tropical area. Maybe like underneath a log or in the ground where there's some water. So crickets like damp places. They like the place to be a little bit wet and not too dry. Did you know some crickets live in ant nests? They eat the young ants. This is an ant-eating cricket. This cricket likes to eat little tiny baby ants. They're probably delicious for this cricket. Would you like to eat a baby ant? I don't think I want to eat a baby ant, but some crickets do. Let's continue reading. In this picture, we have a field cricket in a burrow. Now this little hole here is what we call a burrow. Maybe the cricket made it, or maybe some other animal made this hole in the ground. Now, can you see all of this around? What do you think that stuff is? It looks like dirt, maybe some branches or some grass. And this little cricket, he digs a hole, and that's where he lives. He probably lives in a field perhaps on a farm or somewhere in the countryside. Probably not in the city, but it is possible. Now, what do crickets eat? We learned some crickets eat baby ants. Do all crickets eat ants, or do they eat something else? Let's find out. This is a cricket eating mushroom. Do you eat mushrooms? I do. So we can eat the same food as crickets. Wow! He is on top of this mushroom, and it looks like he is eating down here, taking little bites from this mushroom. And you can see his legs are very long. Crickets eat many different things. You eat many things, and I eat many different things. So do crickets. They feed on small plants. Do you eat plants? I do. They feed on other insects. Do you eat insects? I don't. But people around the world sometimes do eat insects. They eat garbage. Okay. So maybe they eat something that you have left over, and you throw it in the trash and they eat it. They eat fruit. Do you eat fruit? Can you tell me 3 different kinds of fruit? Apple, grapes, watermelon. Those are 3 different kinds. Maybe this cricket eats those too. Many crickets are nocturnal. Nocturnal. This means they live or they do things at night. You can see it's very dark here. So they like to move around and eat and do things at nighttime. During the day, what do? They are sleeping. Now, maybe some students are nocturnal, but most of us are not. We do things during the day. We eat, we play, we work, we go to school. When do we sleep? We sleep at nighttime. So crickets are the opposite of humans. They feed at night. Did you know most crickets are black or brown? Some are white or green. I used to see many green crickets when I was a child. They used to hop around the grass all the time. So we have 4 different colors of crickets: black, brown, white, and green. Let's continue reading. Here we have the field cricket. Now let's look at the body of this cricket. Do you remember what this part is here? This is the head. Very good. And here we have, give you a hint, these are the wings. This part here underneath is called the abdomen, just like we have here, abdomen. This part is special. Do you remember what that is called? The thorax. Thorax. And look at these. Wow! This is huge. What is that? Those 1 and 2 are very big back legs. Why does this cricket have such big back legs? Very good. So he or she can jump very far. Remember, crickets can jump 20 times their length. 20 times. That's very, very far. And we have 2 more smaller legs. We have the eyes, and we have 1 antenna and a second one, or antennae. Well, that's it for part 2 of crickets. I'll see you again shortly for part 3. Welcome back to part 3 of crickets. Now, if you remember, in part 1, we learned a lot of information about crickets. We learned that they are insects. We learned that the baby cricket is called a nymph. And we learned the life cycle of a cricket. We also learned that their skeleton is on the outside, called an exoskeleton, not the inside like you and me. In part 2, we learned a lot of different information about crickets. For example, we learned what they like to eat. They like to eat baby ants. Ooh. They like to eat fruit, and they also like to eat plants, and sometimes they even eat garbage. Now, do you remember where crickets live? They live in houses, just like your house, or they can live in burrows or underneath logs. But what do they like to live? What is a special environment for crickets? Do they like dry places? No, they like damp places. So now, let's learn a few more things about crickets. Do crickets sing? Do you sing? At a norebang? Do I sing? Ba la 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 la. I can't sing. Let's listen to the sound a cricket makes, and you tell me if the cricket is singing. Wow, that was very interesting. Now, do you think that is singing? Let's see if we can find the answer in the book. Do crickets sing? No, they do not. Crickets do not sing. but they make a chirping sound by rubbing their front wings together. Rubbing back and forth. They do this with their wings, and it makes that lovely chirping sound. But why do they do this? Do they like the sound like you and I? Are they bored? Do they do this before they go to sleep? Let's find out why the male crickets make that chirping sound. Male crickets chirp to find a mate. This means they want to find a female cricket and have a baby, so they can make more and more crickets. Now, this is a very special kind of cricket called the bell cricket. This cricket has a very unique sound. For homework, I want you to find the sound of a bell cricket. Now, did you know, oh, not yet, each cricket has its own chirp. Maybe each person has their own fingerprint. So each cricket has a unique chirping sound. Some crickets make holes in leaves. That's very interesting. Why do they do that? It gives a different sound when they make their chirp. The holes make their chirps sound louder. Wow. So why? So maybe their sound can go further and they can find a female cricket. Did you know crickets chirp faster as the weather gets warmer? So in summer, do you think crickets chirp fast or slow? Very good, fast. Now in winter, would crickets chirp fast or slow? They would chirp slow because it is not warm. Okay. So we learned a lot about crickets here and their chirps, how they can make them louder by chewing out a part of a leaf. Now here is the example. This cricket. First, remember there are 4 different colors of crickets: black, brown, green, and white. What color is this cricket here? This looks like a green cricket. And what did this cricket do? This cricket chewed this leaf. Why? Was he hungry? Maybe. Crickets eat plants. What's another reason why this cricket made this hole? So when he chirps, when he rubs his wings together, the sound is very loud so that all the female crickets can hear him. Okay, this is a male tree cricket chirping. So you can try and find the sound of this cricket. Now we have the glossary. We've finished the book, but there were a lot of words that were difficult. So here we can learn the definition of the words one more time. Now these words are difficult, so keep practicing so that you can remember them and use them in your writing or your speech in the future. Let's take a look. The first word we have, antenna. That is singular, or plural, antony. Antony. Right here on the front of the cricket. Now these are long, thin organ on an insect's head. It is used for feeling and tasting. So an antenna is kind of like the hand and the tongue of an insect or a cricket. That's pretty amazing. The next word we have is burrow. Burrow. This is a hole an animal digs in the ground for shelter. Do you remember the picture? We had the black cricket coming out of the hole in the ground. That was a burrow. Many animals make their homes in the ground, and we call them burrows. The next word, exoskeleton. Exoskeleton. A hard outer covering. So these are the bones or the shells of an insect on the outside. Your skeleton is where? On the inside. So we are very different from crickets in that way. An insect. Let's read the definition for an insect. A small animal with 6 legs and an exoskeleton. Insects have 3 main body parts: a head, a thorax, and an abdomen. Those are the 3 main parts. The thorax is the middle part, and the abdomen is the back part. Now, in our cricket, there were many other parts that we discussed: the eyes, the wings, and the legs. Now, to molt. This is a very unique word that you will not use too often. If you're talking about insects, you will. To shed an outer layer. So you saw the cricket. If you look at a video somewhere, you might see the animal kind of crawling out of its shell because it made a new one. Nocturnal. Active during the night. They do things at night. Hunt for food, play, do other things. Now, if you were to sleep during the entire day and get up at night, you would be nocturnal. But most humans are not. We do things during the day. We eat, we talk to friends, we study, we watch TV. A nymph is a young insect, a baby insect. And finally, an organ, a body part that does a special job. You have many organs inside. Your heart, liver, they have a special function. There are a lot of words in this book that are very useful when you study English. Keep practicing, and I will see you again in another book. Have a great day.